2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 4. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through YAHAWAH by YAHAWASHI to the pulling down of strongholds. I want to give all praises and honor to YAHAWAH by YAHAWASHI by Hashem Rakah Kodash, forgive me the spirit, to do this lesson. Now in this lesson we're going into, are you using your weapons? Okay. Are you using the weapons that the Lord gave you? All right, because this is a war. It's not a physical war, but it is a war. Okay. And when you look at a real war, as far as a physical war, you see they have weapons to use. All right, against the enemy. Okay. And if they don't use them, they're going to be destroyed. Period. Think about that, man. A physical war. And they're going back and forth. If one side stops using their weapons that they have, what's going to happen to them? Okay, that's how you should look at this in the spirit, in the spiritual war. Okay, so YAHAWASHI gave us weapons. Okay, so the question is, are you using those weapons? Let's go back to 2 Corinthians, back at chapter 10, verse 4. I'll read it again. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through YAHAWAH by YAHAWASHI to the pulling down of strongholds. Verse 5, casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalteth itself against the knowledge of YAHAWAH, and bringeth into captivity every thought to the obedience of YAHAWASHI. Okay, so we are in a spiritual war, a high level spiritual war. Okay, let's go to Proverbs chapter 18. Let's read verse 10. Start at verse 10. The name of the Lord is a strong tower, and the righteous run into it and is safe. Okay, so that's the number one weapon. The name of the Lord, YAHAWAH by YAHAWASHI. Okay, that's a weapon right there. That's a major weapon. Okay, YAHAWAH by YAHAWASHI. Let's read it again. The name of the Lord is a strong tower. The righteous run into it and is safe. That is a major, major spiritual weapon in this war. You have to understand that. You have to believe that. You have to know it. You have to be sure of it, man. Be bold with the names of YAHAWAH by YAHAWASHI in sincerity. Okay, it says the righteous run into it and is safe. So it's a strong tower, meaning it's a weapon against the enemy. All right, verse 11. It says the rich man's wealth is his strong city. And that's true. Okay, because a rich man, he's carnal, right? So he has the money, his wealth. Now he has his own military, right? He has his military guarding his palace, etc., etc. He has authority over a lot of men in war, okay, because he has the wealth. That's his strong city, right? And it says, and as a high wall in his own conceit, right? In his own pride. Okay. But that's carnal. Anything can happen to him at any moment. Okay. Because the riches can be very deceitful. It can be stolen. Anything can happen, man. Okay. When you're in the world thinking you're strong in the world, but in the spirit of YAHAWAH by YAHAWASHI, in the name of the Lord, that is a strong weapon that cannot be touched if you hold on to it. That's the point. Okay, let's go to Luke chapter 5, verse 35. Okay, and I'm gonna get to the point on this, but this is when they were asking the Lord about his disciples of why they don't fast. And this is what he says. It says, and he said unto them, can you make the children of the bride chamber fast while the bridegroom is with them? Question. But the days will come when the bridegroom shall be taken away from them, and then shall they fast in those days. Right, man. Okay. Why in those days until YAHAWASHI come? Because it's a weapon. That's another weapon. That's a very, very strong weapon right there to fast. Okay. And Lord willing, I'm going to go into a different lesson, Lord willing, tomorrow about that. I'm going to go deep into that, Lord willing. But that's a big weapon in this war. Remember, this is a war. Okay. So what are the weapons that you have that you're pulling from? Or are they just sitting there? Well, why are they just sitting there if the enemy's still shooting shots? The enemy is still hitting buttons and shooting missiles and grenades and planting traps Okay. So if you don't do nothing, if you don't reach to none of these weapons to use and take action with faith, okay, then you are losing the war. You got to do something before it's too late. Okay, you have to do something before it's too late. So fasting is another weapon. All right. Even in a carnal war, man, you know, when they go to boot camp and they get ready, okay, they get showed all the weapons that they use and learn weapons. They learn the weapons. They exercise in the weapons. Okay. They use certain weapons the wrong way and they got to get taught to use it the right way. Before they go to war, they learn these different things. Okay. So that when they're at war, they can pull out of their weapons. Okay. Period. And use them. Not just sit there while the enemy is gaining ground, shooting all their arsenal at you, and you ain't doing nothing. All right. Remember, the scripture says evil is sufficient enough in one day. Okay. So the war is heavy in one day, let alone the next. Okay. So we got to pull from our weapons and use it, man. Okay. We got weapons. All right. So if you're going in circles and you feel like shit and you feel like, you know, you're in darkness and you're going crazy, you're not using no weapons, man. Use your weapons. The enemy is coming in on you. All right. That's why you feel that way, because you're not using your weapons that the Lord gave you. That's the point of this quick lesson, man. Okay. This is exhortation for you to examine the weapons and start using them. Okay. And then you will see yourself gain ground in the spirit, in the inward man. Okay. Considering this is a spiritual war, right? So you will see your inward man. You will feel, I should say, your inward man get stronger because you're using the weapons to get stronger. Okay. Let's go to James chapter 4, verse 6. It says, but he giveth more grace, wherefore he saith, Yahawah resists the proud, but giveth grace unto the humble. Right. So you get grace in the war, in the spiritual war, through being humble. So that's another weapon. Okay. Because grace is power from YAHAWASHI. That's protection. That's what that is. If the Lord is giving you grace, he's protecting you, giving you grace for you to figure out this or figure out that, or get this together or get that together. Okay. So humility, being humble, is a major weapon. And we know that because the scriptures talk about when you're humble, the Lord will lift you up. Okay. He give grace to the humble. He will lift you up because you're being humble, man. Okay. First comes humility, then the honor. Right? So how could that not be a weapon of ours? It is a weapon. You got to use it. Okay. A lot of Jake look at humility as weak. All right. Because they're not spiritual at all. So they look at it as weak, a weak thing. Are you weak? No, you're actually strong because you're using a weapon. Okay. That YAHAWASHI told us to use if we want success in the war. Okay. Do you want success in the war? Well, then listen up. Okay. Listen closely. Okay. Like I said, it'll be a quick exhortation, so I'm going to end it on this. Let's go to Sirach chapter 35, verse 17. It says, the prayer of the humble pierced the clouds. So through your humility, your prayer is piercing the clouds to go where? To YAHAWASHI, the creator of all things. Okay, so if your prayer is piercing the clouds and going directly, quickly to YAHAWASHI, that means he's going to answer your prayer. How is that not a weapon in the war? Of course it is. That's a huge weapon in the war. Okay. Period, man. So guess what? In the carnal war, okay, somebody got a grenade, right? Or they got a missile and they hit the button, or they got a rocket launcher, whatever they got to harm the enemy. Being humble is a great weapon for us on our side, on the spiritual side, in this spiritual war. Okay. I'll start back from the top. The prayer of the humble pierced the clouds. Until it come nigh, he would not be comforted, and will not depart to the Most High shall behold to judge righteously and execute judgment. Okay, but you get the point. Okay, so, and there's more weapons. I might do a part 2, a quick exhortation on the part 2, Lord willing, but I'm definitely going to go into the fasting as a huge weapon. Okay, and go deep into that, because that needs to be utilized more and more especially in this time of thick darkness around us. Okay, and this flesh getting weaker and weaker, man. All right, our flesh is getting weaker. Okay, but our inward man has to get stronger. But it cannot get stronger if you do not use the weapons. It's impossible. Okay, it's like going to a gym and just sitting there. How you expect to lose weight or gain weight or whatever your goal is in the gym? How do you expect it to come to pass when you just, at the gym sitting there talking or on your phone? You ain't doing shit. Everybody else working out, you just sitting there. You ain't gonna get no result. It's the same thing. It is the same thing, but in a spiritual sense. Okay, so hopefully you were edified in the spirit. I want to give all praises and honor to Yahawah, BaHashem, YAHAWASHI, BaHashem, Rakah, Kodash, forgive me, spirit, to do this lesson. Double honors to the elves of Great Millstone, and shalom to your Akamat that is doing the truth and sincerity. Shalom.